Okay, welcome everybody to the semi-quasi-weekly, every other weekish or so, AllReady stand-up for the Humanitarian Toolbox. We are joined today by Jim from the American Red Cross, and we've got Rob from down in the Phoenix area in Arizona, who's at a codathon we did a couple of weeks ago. So first off, just a bit of an update for those who are following. We were down in Nebraska in Lincoln at Nebraska Code. Great conference put on there, over 500 attendees. We had about a dozen people come out, and 8 who made contributions that day, which was awesome. We had to spend a day plowing through the code, finding some of the lava kind of architecture that's just kind of symptomatic of having many hands on a project, and got to clean up a bunch of that stuff and work through things, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about some of the code and whatnot in a second here, any blockers that you might have, Rob. But first we had a trip out to Seattle. Jim and one of the other leaders on the project, Tony, were out there. So Jim, would you mind giving us a bit of an update there?
Sure. So hopefully, as many of you know, our first opportunity to deploy AllReady in a meaningful way is with the Seattle Red Cross. They have a big event on June 11th in which they are going to be partnering with a bunch of hardware stores, Lowe's hardware stores, and people who are coming to those events to learn about preparedness, resiliency, to receive materials to help them learn more about how they can keep their families safe. They will receive a free smoke alarm and be able to make an appointment to have the Red Cross come out and install that smoke alarm, as well as any others that they may need, depending on the size of their apartments, their houses. And so what we're going to be doing is they're going to be using an application that we developed called getasmokealarm.org to take those requests, the contact information, addresses, etc. That'll be pulled into AllReady, and then what we need to do is provide them a tool so that they can create basically the itineraries, the appointments to go out and do those installations. And so we're looking anywhere from 500 to 1,250 appointments that could get scheduled that day, and then they need an efficient way to get those appointments scheduled, hopefully group them geographically, and go out and as quickly as possible get those installations done. So we had a chance to meet with them in Seattle yesterday and kind of walk through what their needs are, specifically focusing on the ability to get appointments scheduled in a kind of by geographic proximity. That's really going to be their focus, and I think we need to kind of make sure that we're set for them. We do have a little, I'd say, kind of a slight reprieve, even though I hate to kind of push dates back. But the installations will not have to start until July 1. So we have a little bit of time to kind of do some back and forth with them, but we'd like to give them something by June 11th, have them start testing it, see how it works, and then we've got a couple weeks to like I said, work out some of the bugs, see where they're having successes, and see where things are not going quite so well, and be able to fix things as they go, but then really ramp up on July 1 as they start doing those installations. So I think it was good in that we had an opportunity for them to talk about our process and how open source development works, how this project engages volunteers from all over the continent to work on it. I think they were really appreciative of kind of understanding that. We got them access to GitHub so that they can post issues when they have questions. We can also tag them when we need clarifications. So overall, a real success in engaging them, not only in kind of learning what their needs are, but having them become a part of the process. So expect to see Allison and Nancy as kind of more. They'll be more visible as we move forward.
Right on, super exciting. And yeah, I've been moving forward with the API integration pieces as well and exploring that. And in the last 10 days, there's been some good updates from the Red Cross team in exposing the data that we need in API. So I've got some blockers there, and I'll be reaching out to Tony about that. But yeah, that's wonderful news. So,
But one other thing I'll add real quick, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
is I did kind of sketch out some stuff, just some kind of conceptual stuff, and I'll post that so that everybody can see kind of what we were talking about in terms of what that kind of itinerary creator could look like.
Okay, excellent. So the itinerary aspect, I know, Rob, you were looking for a little bit more direction on where we could kind of move forward with that in terms of, I think one of the things that we could do probably to help you out in some of those tasks would be around linking you back to the segments of the video, perhaps uh, that had some of the screenshots that were kind of discussed. Is that something that you're still interested in working on? And can I update those links and send those over to you
Most
as a
definitely. That
starting
was kind
point?
of my focus today was, I don't know what needs doing, and digging through the GitHub issues hasn't kind of enlightened me. So, I'm looking for the magic key.
Okay, perfect. So, Jim, you and Tony had done a video on walking through some of those whiteboards, those slides that you had, and what ended up
Yep.
happening is we got um, some of those screenshots just pasted into GitHub issues, and there's very little detail there. So to kind of move some of those things forward, especially if we're entering a crunch time here, we'll need to get some of that detail fleshed
Yep.
out. So I'm going to go to, I'll pop into that session that we did, the whiteboard session we did, and I'll try and extract some of the talking points there that some of the links to those screens as as you guys were discussing them, and hopefully that'll give a starting point. But we'll probably need you and Tony to be really responsive over the next 7 to 10. You guys always are,
Yep.
but just over the next 7 to 10 days. Just if there's any
Yep.
gaps that we can close there to help Rob out or whatever, that would be wonderful.
Do you want me to put one of these sketches up real quick? Would that be helpful? Or
Hey,
just
yeah, sure. Let's
get it?
let's do that. Now, is this for
Let me.
an issue that's already in play on GitHub? Jim, do you know?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so yet.
Okay. So we'll talk about one of
So
these, and then we'll actually have it. We'll have it for kind of archive, as a talking point for a future defect, for sure. But we might need to, unless this supersedes some of the other ones, we're going to probably need to get some focus on the priority for the next week or so here. But okay, I'll let you go ahead and
can you see my screen?
we can.
All right. So this is basically a conceptual sketch of what we thought kind of the itinerary creator could look like. So starting from right to left, this idea that you can see all of the addresses as various types of icons. So something starts as a request, it moves to a scheduled item, and then depending on if it's not fulfilled, that it still shows up as either missed or canceled. And then having the ability, either with a lasso or a marquee tool, to be able to select a number of addresses, maybe even shift click, and then those would appear in that middle pane as that those are going to be the addresses that are part of the itinerary. I think having the ability to perhaps reorder addresses, or even take advantage of some of the GIS capabilities of kind of optimizing routes would be something that'd be nice to have. And then on the left side is scheduling the date for the installation, as well as which volunteers are going to be assigned to do that installation. So again, fairly conceptual, but I think it kind of gives the idea of something that anybody can really use to create an itinerary, and be able then to share this with the volunteers who are going to go out and do the work. Obviously, there's a lot of capability that could be built in down the road in terms of building in communications capabilities with the clients who are going to receive the installations, mobile components, et cetera. But I think that the first area where we need to focus is just being able to look at a map and identify a group of homes collectively, and then build that itinerary.
Okay, so that's great. I've done some work before with actually 2 or 3 different mapping components. What you're looking at there for a user interface is definitely in the realm of possibility. I don't know if that full on implementation of that UI is something that we can pull off in the next 10 days. Is my concern.
Absolutely understood.
What was that? Sorry.
Oh, absolutely understood.
Okay. However, we did talk with Tony a couple of weeks ago about getting possibly some access to some mapping components or services available via Bing Maps. So possibly that's something that we can start to explore in the weeks ahead. But that's a great conceptual target, and I think there's actually even the capability of doing things like requesting a route with these addresses as a stop and then giving turn-by-turn directions. And so you can make that actually really easy to work with, and the APIs are really good about just submitting a set of coordinates. The biggest concern there would be just the reverse geolocation, passing in the address and getting a set of GPS coordinates back, because most homeowners, I would imagine, don't know how to find the GPS coordinates of their house. So we need the ability for them to enter those in and capture those coordinates in some way, perhaps in the request process, but certainly for those who don't have the ability to do that, to enter their address and to say, yeah, that looks like me on the map, and say go, and then we could capture it from the mapping software. So
I've done that before. It's not super hard. It's just that the geolocation services tend to believe that that's precious, and so they tend to meter us. Doing it at the request process is perfect, and in particular, doing it on the client is actually really helpful, because they usually bar us by IP address or meter us by IP address.
Right.
And so at that point, we have one, and that works out perfectly.
Yeah, exactly. I think the only other concern is that we, because of the nature of this, we might want users to be logged in. So we have to think about that. Maybe they don't log in, but we'd have to minimally be on HTTPS.
Right.
But because they're going to be entering private credentials. So if they want to that associated with an account and they're logged in, and that screen that we've got requires login, then if it goes behind a user set of user credentials, then it is absolutely 100% every request is metered and it's paid for, and you have to have the proper token and all of those things as well. At least that's been my experience. So we'll just have to consider how we capture the request and do the GPS. But I agree, having the client do it themselves, punch in their address, resolve the GPS coordinates, and then just capture that from the map information, that's a beautiful solution.
And the other benefit there is that usually the homeowner knows where their house is, and so showing them the map and say, hey, move this dot around on the map is a whole lot easier than a volunteer later trying to infer where the address was.
Right. Go ahead, Jim.
And what if we were to just capture that information on the Get a Smoke Alarm portal ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, like right now the API doesn't provide a means to pass me in the GPS coordinates, but if they were able to get that, to capture that ahead, all the better. Then if we trust that data, we're assuming that Get a Smoke Alarm is passing us the correct information. So if they pass along Latin long, hey, yeah, we're good with that.
Yeah, that might make things easier.
Okay. And you guys have capacity and bandwidth to make that happen?
Let me ask. But
okay.
Just wanted to see if that was something you want to consider.
Sure. Okay, and then we'll also have to pursue this other route of this planning screen that you displayed. We'll need to get, if you could get a screenshot of that up there, Jim, and we'll get an issue started and we'll start detailing that, because that's the other side of it, is we still have, and that will be behind, because now we've got the PII data that's being represented. We want to make sure that that is behind a user login. We're still going to need Tony's help in order to close that loop and start doing the some of the finer points of planning and route out and stuff like that.
Great.
Okay, excellent. Rob, other than the fact that we've got a little bit of a lack of information for you, are there any other blockers that you've got right now?
I'm kind of idle at the moment. I don't know what needs doing. I can keep pushing at lava flows, but my concern is that I may add instability in the system, and in crunch time, that's really not great. So,
Right.
all else being equal, I'd love to get a feel for what are the key things that we're after and what are the tasks associated with it. I'll just line them up and knock them down. I hate
Excellent.
to yank work out of people who have said I'm working on it, and so it feels like a lot of the issues are either don't have that level of detail that make them actionable yet, or they have people who either said they're doing it or they're done with it, but the task isn't closed. And so I really need a whole lot of clarity there to understand what's actionable.
Completely fair. I will make sure that I connect with Tony minimally via chat or something like that, but hopefully via Skype, and we can schedule like a 1 hour power session or something, and we will get through that. Monday is a holiday, so I'm not sure if he's observing that or not, but maybe we can get together on Monday and get a list together there. But what I will do, as soon as we're done the call here in just a couple of minutes, I will go and dig up that previous YouTube video, which might give you some direction on some of those ones that don't have the detail explicit in the task, but it would be there implicitly through that video. So
Okay.
I will
Yeah, that'll help a
definitely
lot.
do.
I
Awesome.
don't know, if you have time today, we could pair on half a dozen things, or I don't know. I just would love to get unstuck.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. We'll stay on the line after we end the stand up then, and we'll just arrange that.
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. Anything else from your end then, Jim?
I'm good.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thanks for those of you who tuned in. I saw actually that ticker went up to 4 today, so that was kind of exciting. Hope everybody's getting some value out of this meeting. And again, anybody who's able to contribute, if you've got more information, head to github.com, whack HTBox, whack AllReady, and you will find us. I'll make sure the links are in the video as always. And thanks again for joining us. Cheers.